Welcome to this first, well, actually for us, it's probably like our third attempt of doing a hangout on air, but we'll also have that available for you all on YouTube. And welcome to the Voice of Job Seekers. Of course, you can catch the audio and the podcast on thevoiceofjobseekers.com as well as iTunes, Stitcher, and a bunch of other podcast directories, of course. But this is a special YouTube version, and who is up to task to join us today is Mildred Talabi. Let me give you a little bit of background about her before we begin our conversation. Mildred Talabi has been in the career industry for about 8 years, and now with two books. The first one was about curriculum vitae, which in America we call it a resume. And the second one we'll talk about today, the science of successful job hunting, practical strategies for landing any job you want. Mildred's career advice has been featured on Google and The Guardian. I just want to welcome to the show Mildred Talabi. Welcome.
Thank you very much for that welcome. Hello, I'm so pleased to be here.
Yes,
Fantastic.
and we're pleased to have you. We're going to try to make this painless as possible. You wrote the book, and I kind of felt like I was on that journey with you because I
Yes.
guess we've been talking back and forth for several months now.
Yes.
And I guess you started in one place, and that's where I caught you. And then you did kind of a little right turn. So if you can explain that a little bit, or how did you land here in this place, giving advice for the general job seeker population.
Oh gosh, yeah. I must say, I'm actually excited. I have the proof of my book in my hand, the proof copy. It came in the
Yes,
post, so I'm really, really, really excited about that. But
very nice.
thank you, thank you. But yeah, so I am an accidental careers advisor, is what I like to kind of put it as, because my background is in journalism. I worked in the media, trained as a journalist, worked in the media for a while, and it was actually while I was in one of my early roles as assistant editor of a magazine, and I had to, as well as all the other editing things, putting together the magazine, etc. I also had to recruit people, and it was at the
Hmm.
stage that in the 2 years I was there, I received lots of CVs, cover letters, general application requests, and they were just horrific. Most of them were just shocking, really badly put together. And I just kind of, I have an entrepreneurial DNA which comes from my dad. He started hundreds of businesses,
Hmm.
but yeah, I just kind of thought after a while, I thought, you know what? It sounds like there's a gap in the market for somebody who can help people to put together good CVs. So originally, that was the idea. I just wanted to do something on the side to help people do good CVs that will get them into jobs and get paid for
Hmm.
it. But I never meant to leave the media. It was never this is something I want to do full time. So I just set it up as a side thing while I was still continuing along the media route. But fast forward 5, 6 years later, I got deeper and deeper into it. Wrote my first book, Seven Keys to a Winning CV. In I was just saying, I think I'll just round it up just by saying that it was as I said, it wasn't accidental for me in terms of it was something I thought I'd do. This it was originally CV writing, CVs, application forms, cover letters, and it was something that I thought I'd do on the side while I was still working in the media. And it's just after a while, it just kind of grew on its own to the point where I started running CV workshops, and then I later started blogging about careers in general because I realized
Hmm.
that I had quite a bit to share about job hunting in general because I've been fortunate that up until the next stage, which led to this new book, which we'll talk about later, I've been fortunate that I pretty much got jobs when I applied for jobs. So I thought there's something that I'm doing right, which I can share with other people, and that's how I got deeper and deeper into careers, and now it's significantly a huge part of what I do today.
Mm. And you're a person that, followed your passion. You ended up being more passionate about the career space than you have figured on, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would definitely say, and I actually discovered along the way that one of my big passions is helping people to have an inspiring work life, whether that's in their careers or business. So, which is why my strapline is kind of inspiring and changing lives in business and careers, because I think we spend so much of our lives at work that it's
Hmm.
so important that we do something that we enjoy as well as something that pays the bill. And I believe you can do both. So I like to help people to get there. That's one of the things I enjoy doing.
Yes, and fortunately for you, you had the skills that transferred well into the career space. The other people who, we hear the whole follow your passion, but you also have to kind of train and put the work in to make it a true skill. And if you can't, then it ends up being a passion. Now you can
Yeah.
be an evangelist. You can be an evangelist for that passion should you not have the skill set. Sort of like
Hmm.
a sports fan. Sports
Yeah.
fans have the passion for football or baseball, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But if you don't have the skill set, you just end up being a fan. And you can be an evangelist. You can talk
Hmm.
about it, but if it doesn't transfer well, then that's something that has to be realized sooner than later.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Passion is not enough because you can't live on passion. Unfortunately,
No,
you
no.
can't live on passion. So it's good to have passion, but also have skill, develop skill. And the good thing about skill is it can be developed. So it helps when you have a good starting point. Like for example, my starting point was I've always been into writing and editing. So as a young person, I would get out a pen and write things down, and I'd get a red pen and mark people's work. All that I enjoy that sort of thing. So I was always like that from
Yeah.
young. But it's
Hmm.
yeah, I think skill is something that you can develop in an area. If you're interested in and you have the basics, it's easier. But if you're not, but it's just something that you're passionate about, you can also work to get better at it as well. So that's something people can do if they have passion but not necessarily skill.
True. I think as well as on this discussion of passion, and I think it leads down to having a successful job hunt, you have to be willing to put it to the test, whether it be
Mhm.
a private client, whether it be taking, an acumen test of some sort. But
Mhm.
I think you do have to test it and find where you're at and be willing to look bad uh,
Mhm.
while gaining that skill. Wouldn't you agree?
I definitely would agree. And in the job realm, this is why I say work experience and things like that is important, especially for younger people. I understand it's a bit more difficult when you're older and you've got, mortgage to pay and you've got, commitments, financial commitments, usually maybe a husband, a wife, children, or etc. So you can't just
Hmm.
do free placement. But especially when you're younger and you've got less commitments and perhaps you're living at home, that's the time to explore what you're into. That's the time to do various work experience, not only to get a broader definition of a broad understanding of yourself and what you're into, but also to pick up some skills that you can later use in your career. So I think I definitely say where you can do that, get some work experience under your belt, preferably paid if you can get it, but if you can't get paid one, do a short term unpaid one because what you gain from things like that is really valuable in building you and developing you.
Yeah, and you're talking about something that's very important here, and I think it should be noted. People can pilot their passion. It may not pay you a lot,
Mhm.
but you should be willing to kind of test it in that sense, whether it was with a friend or somebody and that's what I did when I first started. In fact, I
Mhm.
did that for a while without even knowing. I did free work because I just love the resume writing, the
Mhm.
job advice uh, field, but I knew I had a lot to learn from it. Uh,
Mhm.
but that but that meant doing some really compared to what I charge now, and
Mhm.
compared to when I first started, is a huge difference. But I had to
Mhm.
know where I was at first.
Absolutely, and the same story here because at first it's the whole it's like market research. You have to have a market if you're gonna do
Yes.
anything. So when I started out with a CV, first people I started with were friends and family. I said, okay, pay me this, something small, it's like £20 or something to do your
Hmm.
CV, and
Yes.
then from the results that they got from it, and also from there I was able to get feedback that I could then use as testimonials and say so and so have used my services and here's what they thought of it. But yeah, starting out from there is and from where I am today, just like you, the jump in terms of what I charge is not just because I'm charging more because I can, but it's because of what I've learned and developed and I've put years into it and now and it's been tested and it's been tried and there's evidence and there's results. Now I can go up and charge things because I know people will get results. So in the same
Hmm.
way for people in their career. It's just that whole having a testing phase as well. If you again, it's like for example, if you think you're gonna love to be a journalist, for example, unless you actually try it out in going and doing a work experience or something, you may just have a fantasy in your head that's not real. So for me, even with the journalism, I knew I wanted to work in the media and I thought it was writing, but I thought, let me try a bit of TV, let me try radio, let me try this. I tried different
Hmm.
aspects of media before I definitely settled on journalism. And then, even then, I realized I liked magazines better than I did newspapers after doing work
Hmm.
experience in newspapers and magazines. So I think with your career, you have to constantly test and refine to get to that sweet spot of yeah, this is what I enjoy doing, this is what's good, this is, and even then when you get there, unless you stay stagnant, there's still more growth, and to do that you continuously have to keep on putting a little foot in the water to say, is this what I want to do, is this not, testing it out, see how it works out, and then moving on from there. So testing is a
Hmm.
good thing, yeah.
Sure, sure. I think another way to test is blogging. What you and
Mhm.
I do. Of course,
Yeah.
before I even started the podcast, I on the Voice of Job Seekers, there was 2 years of articles that were on it. There was
Mhm.
about 200 articles already, so I had already established
Mhm.
some credibility, fortunately, and some notice, fortunately. For the job search, do you, as well as I do, recommend blogging as a way to kind of establish some kind of authority, or even as part of the pilot phase?
Yes, I definitely do. I think I count blog as part of the whole social media revolution that we've had. So,
Hmm.
and I actually think it's a lot easy. In some ways it's easier and it's harder, but it's easier now for job seekers to kind of stand out and be innovative because of the fact that you can start a video blog, you can start a written blog, you can start an
Hmm.
Instagram blog, which is just pictures. But if you're,
Right.
let's say, going into fashion and you've got an Instagram and you've got loads of pictures of yourself doing different things, wearing different clothes, my gosh, that's a portfolio that's really going to help you when you go for that interview and help you to stand
Yes.
out from everybody else. So I definitely do think if blogging, set up a blog, as long as it's not about, well, it can be about your cats and dogs if you like, if that's, where you want to go into. But if it's
Hmm.
something within your industry, preferably, that could really give you that extra professional edge, and also it allows employers to go online because they will Google you online, they will search you out, and then if your blog comes up and it's things content that you've created yourself, rather than them stumbling on your Facebook page, for example, then it's even more impressive for you. So it gives them something to say that hey, this person is they're active, they're out there, and here are their opinions on certain things in the world. So I think it's a good thing for sure.
Yes,
It's very
and
positive.
I think what's really vital as part of this discussion on blogging is it's okay that you find out through blogging that you don't have enough to say
Mhm.
about what you're trying out and what you're piloting, because that's a clue.
Mhm.
That's a clue in saying, well, maybe my knowledge isn't as deep or it doesn't have as much depth as I thought it did, and I'm just recycling and repeating myself. So maybe that may not be for you, especially if you're changing careers. I mean, that's
Mhm.
really time when you have a job and you're
Mhm.
testing out something that if you want to find out how that's going to go, if you don't have enough to say,
Mhm.
you either got to go back to the drawing board or you got to, then maybe your passion might be something else.
Mhm. Absolutely, and I also think so. When I started blogging, I shared what I knew then about job hunting.
Hmm.
So
Right.
over the years, I've learned more, and the more I learned, the more I wrote. So I totally recommend. There's a chapter in my book called "Read, Watch, and Listen." So 3 keys to greatness in your work life. So it's about reading. Read books. The more you read, the
Yes.
more you've got to talk about. The more, not just
Yes.
books, read blogs, read articles, read newspapers, read what other people
Hmm.
are saying. Not read and rehash, but when you read it, you form your own opinions and then you can spout it out on your blog. So that's one
Yes.
thing. Watch videos, watch TED Talks, watch all these. There's so much available out there in terms of knowledge that other people have posted. So watch these things and also listen to audios, podcasts, etc. I listen to quite a lot of audiobooks and things like that. So it's
Hmm.
just read, watch, and listen. These, as you do these things, they'll help you to grow. And then as you grow, then you can share more with your audience. And I think that for me, that's how it started. I never intended to have a super. I didn't have any blogging goals. All I knew is I wanted to write and express my opinions when I first started,
Yes.
and that's how it started. And I started building an audience from there. And then it's, oh, I've got this to say. Actually, I want to say this. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. And then it just grew from there. So yeah, yeah, definitely. I think people should do that. Read, watch, listen, and grow.
Yeah.
Get.
Well, let's switch gears slightly. Let's talk about, and there might. It seems that all employers are saying whether, no matter where they are much more under guard than they ever been around the world. And it seems like they're also looking for new ways to exclude people than include job seekers. Do you find that that's the case in the UK as well?
But exclude, you mean so they're eliminating candidates?
Yes,
Yeah.
find a way to purge candidates from
Yeah,
the process.
absolutely. I think because at the moment it's an employer's market. It's
Yeah.
really, there's so much competition in terms of the job market that employers are spoiled for choice. So whereas
Hmm.
before they had to whittle down to find good people, now they do lots of preliminary. I hate that word. Lots of,
Preliminary.
that's the word. Yeah, some words just get stuck in your tongue.
I
But yeah.
understand. I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, so they do lots of that word, yeah, to get
Yes.
to get rid of candidates at a basic
Hmm.
level. So then they won't have to invest all their time and resources in, when it gets to the interview stage, etc. So yeah, I do think it's an employer's market, which is why job seekers need to. You have to have that extra edge now, not just a university degree and think that will get you in. So have that, have some experience, have an online profile, be active, be proactive even. And yeah, these things will help you to stand out in this market.
Yeah. Did you find anything new while you were researching for your book? Because you started in one place, as we talked about earlier. You started in one thing, and then all of a sudden it kind of took a turn. You wanted to make something that was much more universal, because you
Hmm.
work with young people mainly.
Yeah.
Um, do you find that employers are more or less um, kind of uh, they're kind of caught in between in a quandary that they look for young people. Many times they don't have enough experience, but many times they don't want to go too much older because even though they have the experience, they may not have the relevancy portion that they're looking for, or the relationship to a universal market. What's your take on that?
Yeah, the young people approach, because as you mentioned, I do work It's funny, my blog is kind of my main audience on my blog, and from my CV makeover business are adults, professionals. But
Mm-hmm.
when I do speaking engagements, etc., I'm usually in at universities and I'm speaking to young people at colleges, etc. And then I have a day job where I work with what we call NEET young people here in the UK, which are young people who are not in education, employment, or training, so in the
Mm-hmm.
16 to 24 age group. So my job is to advise them on careers and system and personal development. And I do kind of find that a lot of the struggle, one, for those young people, which is why initially I wanted to write a book that was for young people specifically to help them to get out of this whole unemployment, high unemployment amongst young people. So a lot of them didn't understand how the whole work field works, how employers
Mm-hmm.
recruit, what they could do to make themselves better candidates. And I think on the employer side, some employers are scared to employ young people because one, it is an investment for them in investing time and resources, and which may not pay back because for example, the sort of young people I work with, they may have a challenge turning up on time,
Mm-hmm.
so turning up on time, and they need help, learning how to be professional in an environment, in a working environment, because for many of them, they may not have ever had a job, or the job that they've had may be something in a retail checkout, which is a completely different space altogether. So they need more support. I think young people sometimes need more support in a workplace, and some employers calculate the cost of, can I actually afford to take on a young person who I have to almost mentor and nurture through this role when I could recruit for a ready-made adult or graduate or something who can just slot into the role, and I could just give them a few orders and they can grow from there. So there is a challenge on both sides in terms of employers needing to tear down some of the barriers they have against employing young people. But again, young people being given assistance in stepping up to meet
Mm-hmm.
some of what employers are requiring from them in the workplace, so the two can meet in the middle. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I
It's
answered your question.
No, actually, you did, and you gave me a little bit more. And it just, sparked a couple of other questions. And from your view, with young people and their sticking point, you mentioned professionalism, which seems to be worldwide amongst young people. But how early do you think that professional training actually starts? In the group of people that you have exposure to. I know that a lot of people, like in America, depending upon where you are in America and where people are socially, culturally, heritage, some degree race, that they're taught at different levels and they have exposure to different types of professional experience in
Mhm.
terms of what they're being taught. What has been your experience as far as where they're actually get the exposure, and should they be exposed a lot younger than they are now from where you sit?
Yes, that's a very good question because here in the UK, what happened about a year or so ago, and it's slightly a bit longer than that, is pretty much the whole careers advice system for young people in schools were cut, because of
Hmm.
funding issues. So when I went to school, when I was younger, a long, long time ago, but we
Hmm.
when we got to year 10, which was about 15, you were about age 15, we got to go in and do 2-week work experience in different places, so you could choose. So that's when you have your ambitions. Back then I thought, oh, I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a lawyer, whatever it is you want to do. You get the chance to go into that workplace and try it out for a week. It was 1 week. And so I remember I first wanted to be a teacher, and I went and I did 1 week work experience and at a school, primary school, and I loved the kids, they were sweet, but it was hectic. I thought, this is not for
Yes.
me, you know.
Yeah.
At
Right.
15, I realized this was not the career for me. So, and then the other one I
Hmm.
had was I wanted to be a lawyer. So again, I did 1 week in a solicitor's office, and I nearly died of boredom. I literally
Sure.
I nearly died. But again, I realized that actually I don't quite think that's for me either. But I think those
Mhm.
experiences helped me in terms of when it came as I got older, and I remembered. I know it was just a 1 week, but that 1 week was enough to give me a taste of what I imagined this environment was like, and then the reality of what it actually was. And I think that's so essential for young people to be able to go into the work environment as early as possible. And I think around that age group is a good time from about 14, 15, 16, is a good time to go into working environment, spend 1 week in workplaces, maybe even 1 week per term, as
Right.
part of the curriculum, so that they're in workplaces, they're getting an idea of what it's like to work in certain fields, they're getting a taste of whether they like it or not, and then so by the time they finish in over here, they finish school about 16, and then they go into college, and then it's university. So by the time they finish school, they're a little bit clearer what they want to do. By the time they get to college and they finish that, again doing more work experience along the way, then they're a lot clearer. So then they get to that crunch age of, am I going to go to university? Do I need to go to university for what I want to do? Or should I go straight into the world of work and follow through because I'm now clearer about what I want to do because I've had experience from the time I was 15. So I really think that is a good way to help young people to develop confidence in themselves career wise, but also to develop skills from early on and being able to deal to work in a professional environment and being able to handle that. So it's not such a big shock to them when they come out of school or college or university and they have to go into work and it's like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different environment. I've never been here before. I don't know how to cope. So I think, yeah, we need to bring that back in England. We need to bring that back. Find the money. Government, if you're watching this, find the money and help young people. So,
Well,
yeah.
it's the same. It's the same in America.
Mhm,
They cut out a lot of programs where, though I'm a lot older than you are,
mhm.
back when I was coming up, there was an emphasis on being professional and in behavior and in what to expect at every level,
Yeah.
at every turn. Even when you went to church, you were taught
Mhm,
how to be that way. These days, it seems like everybody wants to cut the things that kind of make up the very important attributes that employers are attracted to. And then when
mhm,
they get 22, 23, when they come out of university or come out of college, they are lost and they want to move back home because that preparation wasn't there. So
mhm.
it is yeah, you got to spend
Yeah.
some to get some. How and when our governments will get that, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
is going to happen.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's the same world no matter where you go. And I had an episode where we talked about how to get a job internationally. But one of the things that I think is universal is that you've got to take complete responsibility,
Mhm.
100% responsibility, to research, to I hate the term due diligence. I used to use it all the
Mhm.
time, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
You've got to put 100% effort and find out how you would fit in professionally, culturally, and all of that. And I think young people are getting it slowly,
Mhm.
but I think the message needs to be a lot louder.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll tell you that it's with the whole responsibility thing. I was one of those young people. I was probably older than my age from very young. So I went out and I
Yeah.
was proactive. I did stuff. I got myself work experience. From the time I could work, I worked. And then I was quite driven and focused from a young age. And I kind of assumed that everybody was like me. So as I got older, and then I especially as I started working so closely with young people in this environment, I work in this youth center, I realized that actually there's more young people who are not like that than there are those who are. There are more young people who instead of like they don't know how to take personal responsibility. They've never been
Hmm.
taught how to. It's always like, well, here, for example, in the UK, we do have a benefit system, which is great. It
Hmm.
definitely is a great thing. It has its advantages. But the other disadvantages slightly sometimes is that if you sign on, you go, on benefits. You go there every week, you collect your paycheck, etc. They do ask things of you, but it kind of creates a dependency on somebody else to sort out your life and to get you paid and to all of these, to put money in your pocket on a weekly basis. And I think that for some of my young people I work with who are on benefits, I've noticed that things like that, it they don't have any particular motivation to take responsibility, go out there and do things for themselves because it's like, well, you work because you want money, but if you're getting money anyway, the idea of working isn't as appealing. So that's just one barrier that's there. But then also on the other side as well, I realized again, because of the type of young people, I do work with regular speech marks young people as well. But because of the type of the
Hmm.
young people, some of them come from broken families where there's not no one has sat them down at any point and said, okay, little John, Sally, whoever, this is your life. You're coming up to this age. This is what you should start thinking about. This is what you should start. You should start looking for a job. You should start doing this. They haven't had that. So for a lot of them, they are lost and they do need the government or youth centers or careers advisors and all of these people to fill in the gaps where perhaps the parents should have been in the first place. Parents and carers should have been, and schools play an important role in that. So I think, yeah, the issues that it is, and that's something I really gained an appreciation for. Like I said, working one to one with these young people, because I used to think, just what's your problem? Go out there, go and make things happen. Like
Right,
go
right.
write, do a CV, go do this, go do that. But it's not that easy. It's not that easy for some of them. And I think, yeah, the roles we play, those who do work with young people and careers, is a really important one, definitely.
Right. I used to I used to substitute teach for
Mhm.
about 4 years, and I taught at a school where 99% of the children lived below poverty, and that could be
Mhm.
kind of tough. And a lot of people who don't come from that background are always questioning, say, why are they, why are they, why are they? And I
Mhm.
give the example of fasting. I say, I guarantee you, if you fast for a day, you're thinking mostly about food.
Mhm.
You are.
Mhm.
So
Sure.
therefore, for them, they don't. They're going to think about what they don't have. We do
Mhm.
that naturally with them. It translates to their learning environment and to what they are exposed to. So one of the challenges I think is to get job seekers who've been denied or don't have jobs or never really had a great job or don't have the job that they want to see that their value extends beyond money,
Mhm.
that their money, that
Absolutely.
value is much greater than what they'll ever get paid for. And for
Yeah.
most people, they won't actually get paid what they're actually worth.
Mhm.
There's just a few select people, whoever they are, that actually happens to that. And I think that young people, that's something as educators and those of us who have worked with young people or work with job seekers, period, that's the
Mhm.
kind of thing that needs to translate forward.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think that kind of sort of leads a bit to the whole having multiple streams of income.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of, I do recommend to job seekers, just do go out there, get a job. Absolutely, that's good. But
Hmm.
also find something else you can do on the side. Maybe a skill that you have that you can freelance with. There's so many freelance sites these days. You can offer graphic design, you can offer audio type, whatever it is. So
Hmm.
so that you're not completely dependent on a job, because let's say you get made redundant tomorrow, for many
Hmm.
people that would be the world ending, because that's that one sole income. This is all I know how to do. And like you said, sometimes it's hard for job seekers, especially when they've been out of work for a while, to not equate how much they're worth with the fact that they're not working. So no one wants to employ me. I feel kind of worthless, and etc. But it's, I guess, helping people to see that, like you said, that there's more that you have to offer. There's skills
Mhm.
that you have to offer, and somebody out there wants it. And even if they don't at this particular stage, maybe you can teaching entrepreneurialism again is something that's useful for people. So you can start thinking about how you can offer it out there anyway before the employer comes knocking for you. So I think
Yes,
having both is quite a good place to be in.
absolutely. Is there anything else in the book or strategies that were you kind of looked at when you were writing and said, yeah, this one should go up front, or this one should be highlighted, or this one should be echoed from the mountaintops?
Oh yes, 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 yes. One of the key things I discovered, and this is what led me to writing the book. Actually, as I said, is so I left my last job. So I was working in communications, and I left the job about 3 years ago.
Hmm.
I said to them, I said to everybody, like, see you later. I'm gone. I'm never working for anyone again because I'm going into full-time business as an entrepreneur. I've got lots of things I want to do, and I'm going to do it for myself from now on. So, and that was the plan. I was going to be in full-time business forever. And then what happened was the first few months were okay, and then the next few months were, a bit shaky. And then after that, just the whole instability of the income as well. After a while, my husband's like, you need to go back to work, like seriously.
Right.
And yeah, just to balance that out as well. It's just so that I can have that steady income and also get involved again in doing things that I love, like working with people directly as well as working with people online and virtually through my business. So I thought, okay, fine. When I finally agreed I was going to go back to work as well as do the business, I thought it would be easy. I mean, this is what I do for a living. I tell other people about getting jobs. How hard can it be for me? And the whole process ended up taking me 3 months, which for
Mm.
some people is not a long time, but for me, considering I thought this would be a few days, by the end of the week I'll be in a job. I mean, come on, how this is me. This is what I do. So it was like a long time for me. And but in that process there were so many things that I learned about job seeking, and including some of what we touched on, like for example the importance of social media, the importance of having a brand that represents you and making sure your messages that you put across both on your CVs and online and wherever you are consistent. And then also the fact that job hunting is not something that you can fully do well on your own. So, but one of the big ones is the whole thing of the hidden job market.
Mm.
The hidden job market is a massive, massive, massive mine for job
Chapter
seekers
9
to
of your
tap
book.
into. What's that? Chapter
Chapter
nine.
9.
Ah, that's right. Chapter 9 of my book. So yeah, it's definitely the hidden job market is what I would say is something that for job seekers, it's like it's for those who don't know what it means. Just so it's the visible market is all the jobs you already see, and that's what's already out there, what's posted. Because it's already out there, everyone else is seeing what you're seeing, so the competition is super high. The hidden
Hmm.
job markets, not posted. These are the jobs that you get over cups of tea, coffee in a pub, golf sessions, conversations, somebody somebody, recruitment agencies, networking. So it's really in the book I talk about the 5 ways that you can tap the hidden job market in the book. And I think this is something for job seekers to really, really get their heads around in terms of thinking outside the box and looking outside of what's already out there and thinking, how can I tap the hidden job market? For example, which or who in my connections might have a role going that could be suitable for me, spreading the
Hmm.
word about that. So that's how I ended up in the job that I'm in now through the hidden job market. And I can't recommend it enough for people in terms of as a good strategy of getting a job.
Yeah, the quote from your book, it says as much as 60% of jobs are actually never advertised, with the few jobs that do make it to the newspaper pages, online job sites attracting so much competition that even the best candidates would struggle to shine.
Yes.
And as you stated, there's a lot of people, and I think that finding opportunities is about the network. It's about,
Mhm.
connecting with people,
Mhm.
because jobs are going to be more about people than they ever had. They're not no longer
That's
going to
right.
be systematic. So, for someone who is struggling with the network, I think you had some advice for them as well.
Yes, because network, as I talk about and I often share, is that I used to hate just the word networking. I hated it.
Yeah,
I had all these negative connotations of networking. It's just you're just what you're. It's all about what you're getting from other people. And I thought of these. You go to events and there's always somebody who's there networking, and what they're doing is going around the room handing out business cards to just any and everyone, and not really paying any attention to who you are or anything. And I was like, I hate that. I don't want to be that person. So
yeah,
I kind of shied away from it for quite a while until I realized that really networking is just about connecting with people. And the way it works best is if you do it with no intentions. I know it's hard because we're humans and you're thinking, well, maybe, especially if you're job seeking, you're thinking, well, maybe can this person give me a job? But if you literally are just building connections with people just for the sake of knowing people. So, like for us, we connected out. I can't remember if it was first Twitter or LinkedIn. I'm not sure which one, but it's like,
yeah. I
oh
don't
look,
remember which one.
yeah, yeah, but it's like, hey, Mark has similar interests to me. So
Yeah,
yeah, great, why not connect. So and now look, however many months later, we're doing an interview. But at the time, I'm sure you never thought that you didn't connect with me to interview me, and I never thought, oh, one day when I have a book, I'm gonna get Mark to interview me. It was just
right.
a case of we're just connecting because we have similar interests. So I think that's what I would recommend for job seekers to do. Connect with people who have similar interests to you, who are in similar fields, and also people maybe who are in fields that you'd like to get into, so people you can learn from as well, and just build that connection online and offline as well. And a
Yeah,
tip that I have for going to networking events. Before, again, I used to think it was all about coming home with a stack of business cards of all the people you've connected with, you know.
right,
But
right, right.
and then I went to enough events to realize that actually that's not an effective thing, and it's not a good measure of networking. Is if you go to an event and you come out with, if it's just one person that you met at that event who sparked something in you, or you sparked something in them, or there's just some kind of connection, then it was worthwhile. So you take that one person, you go home, you add them to your LinkedIn or your Twitter or your Facebook or whatever it is, and you develop that relationship. So it's more quality over quantity. It's not about how many people you connect with, it's about the quality of those relationships, and then keeping in touch with people and developing it from there. Because you never know when you
Mhm.
might need them or they might need you. So yeah, I think always be networking, but in a positive way.
Yes, I think people in this day and age, it's easier to either be focused on one way or be focused on
Mhm.
many ways. And I think
Mhm.
I was walking through a school that I'm going to be doing an event at here at the end of the month, and
Mhm.
there was a sign that says, when chasing two rabbits, one will escape.
Mhm.
And saying that, you focus on too many things, you're
Mhm.
going to miss it. And, mind you, there's a lot of strategies we talked about. Take one or two at a time, focus in on
Mhm.
them, become
Yeah.
successful, uh, become successful at them, and
Yeah.
then move forward with the next thing that may help you leverage and come closer to getting a job opportunity. And
Mhm.
speaking of which, this has been a great discussion. I really appreciate you spending time out talking about your new book. Again, your new book, The Science of Successful Job Hunting, Practical Strategies for Landing Any Job You Want. If people
Mhm.
want to contact you about your book or get advice from you or engage you in a conversation, how can they?
Oh, great. Yeah, it's definitely been great talking to you, Mark. So, yeah, in terms of following up from here, for people The book will be out. This is the 1st of September, so it'll be at the end of this month. It'll be available for general release, and you can get a free sample chapter on my website, which is not my personal website, but the book's website, www.jobsciencebook.com. That's www.jobsciencebook.com. So you can download a free sample chapter, and it will also put you in line with because there's gonna be, when I do the launch, I'll do an online launch shortly. There'll be great bonuses to go with the book release when it's ready to go out. So definitely don't miss out. Go to www.jobsciencebook.com. And if you want to connect with me about anything else other than that, my own website is mildredtalabi.com, and I'm quite active on Twitter, LinkedIn, and all the social media, all under my full name, Mildred Talabi. Which,
Great.
by the
And
way, you pronounced my surname very well at the beginning, so which is
oh,
good. Not
good.
many people do.
Well, you
Yeah.
know what? You know what? And let this be a lesson for those who are listening. I checked out a couple of videos where you were talking before a Google audience. I
Yeah.
think that might have been the first time, and so of course those kind of things, it goes part of my research for the show.
Hmm.
So I'm glad that makes you happy because it kind of
Good.
sucks. It kind of sucks. I mean, people play off when their names are mispronounced. I take it kind of seriously. So that's when.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was one person they're not on the show yet, but I had them phonetically write out their name. They said, "Really? It doesn't matter." I said, "Well, it matters to me because I hate
Hmm.
that my name is mispronounced." So, though my
Yes.
name is probably a little bit easier, depending where you are culturally in the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for being a part of this. And this is going to be available on YouTube as well. So if you want to watch and see Mildred's expressions, uh, you will you
And
can
see
do
my
so.
book.
And
Yeah.
of course, you want to see the cover of a book. It looks very nice, by the way.
Thank you.
Then you could do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been great talking to you. Take care.